Good evening. Excited to be on tonight. I'm not going to be long tonight. I'm not going to be long tonight, but I had a thought that I wanted to bring to my brothers and my sisters on tonight, on them late night thoughts. Um, how are you all? I hope my pastor friends that are at late night are enjoying themselves, those that are at the National Baptist Congress. I'm so uh I'm so sad I couldn't be there that year. I've got so many friends and loved ones that are there and present, and uh I've already heard that it's been some exciting things some exciting things going on even as we are starting. Listen, tonight we're going to talk about, for a brief moment, don't check out. Don't check out just yet. One of the struggles that we see during this time of year, summer is upon us, is that pastors have to deal with the struggle of ministering while their congregation are vacationing. This means that people are not in place where they should be. That means that we are struggling and we are wrestling with the reality that some of the things that we wanted to do, we're going to have to put on the back burner. That means finances goes down. For many pastors, the summer month is a harder month than we would like to admit. The summer month is not one that is always joyous. And so I want to encourage my brothers and my sisters tonight, wherever you may be, that we want you to be present during this summer year. As we are going through this summer, I want you to be attentive, to start working on the areas in your ministry that uh, may be light right now, to start focusing on what your schedule is going to be like during the fall month. For many preachers, if your preaching calendar is not set for the summer, you're dealing with the fact that you have all of these things that need to get done, and they're right in front of your face because of the lack of busyness. One of the privileges, can I be honest about my own self? One of the privileges of going to these conferences is sometimes it allows you to, what's the word I want to say it, to be present somewhere else instead of where you should be present at. And I want to encourage you that during this season that we're going to be present where we need to be present, and that we are not going to allow ourselves to be uh, captivated by what we are unable to do, but we're going to be focused on what we can do. We're not going to be captivated on the folk that are not there, that are vacationing in this moment. Those volunteers, those folk, they are present while their children are present. But now that kids are out of school, they are doing their traveling. They are going to different places. And here it is, you're seeing it on social media. Oh man, can we be honest? One of the hardest things is to have people in place to do something, and then you look on Facebook and you see that they're on the beach, and you know where they are not going to be on Sunday morning. And you have to connect with them, because what you recognize is that as you're connecting with them, you have to put certain things in place, because the people that should have been in place are not present. In fact, I encourage my members to take vacations. I encourage my members to take time out, because when it's time for me to take time out, I need you to understand the necessity of it. But that does not negate the struggle of when the people that we need, the people that we count on, are not there, the effect that it does on our ministry. Can I have a very transparent moment? One of the hardest things for me to do is preach right after the 4th of July. Preaching after the 4th of July has to be one of the hardest times for me, because it's just, the attendance is down. The attendance is down. There's no other way to say it. That's the second Sunday. Folk are still gone. Folk are, don't let the 4th of July fall on a Sunday or a weekend. Man, I'm telling you, my birthday is on the 2nd. I remember one year, that's the first Sunday. And you know, as a pastor, first Sunday is a Sunday that you're looking for folk. Man, 4th of July fell on a Monday. Saturday came, I celebrated my birthday. I came in on that first Sunday, and I'm telling you, it was, I could have tossed a stone and it wouldn't have hit nobody. And we had just came out the pandemic. It was not that I felt any type of way of my members taking vacation and spending time with their family. But as a pastor, it is hard to preach to an empty congregation, especially when you've had a high Sunday the Sunday before, because you are now questioning what you may have preached the Sunday prior. And if you are like me and you believe that because you preach the word of God, there's no apologies needed, then you're asking yourself, what do we need to add into the stream? Then you have the struggle of having pastors that have people in place to help them get the job done, and they are checking out. I want to help you out. Tonight, we want to talk about don't check out just yet. Don't check out just yet. I want to have you understand there are some surprising benefits of staying present in the moment, of being attentive to what you can do in the moments that you can do it. Listen, as y'all are coming in, I want you to just let me know where you're watching from. If you are at the National Baptist Convention Congress of Christian Education, just shout it out right now. Listen, I'm so excited for tonight's discussion, because I think that if we're present in the moment, if we don't check out, and what does it mean to check out? If we don't check out, that we can really reap some benefits as pastors by staying focused on the assignment while we have it there. Here it is. I believe one of the first things that we have to understand is, what does checking out look like for a pastor? Checking out, we've all heard it, where we preach and get our check. Checking out means because we have nothing that's currently on the agenda, that we feel that our preparation and our prayer time we can take a back door to it. That we become so busy in other aspects because of what we're not doing currently in our church. So some of the necessary conversations that we need to have, we are not having, because we have allowed ourselves to get filled up with, here's a word, busyness. Checking out can almost appear as if you're too busy. Checking out is when you are so focused on everything else around you that you're not focused on the thing that's in front of you. Checking out is when you know you have something to do, something to turn in, a conversation to be had, a meeting to be had, but instead of being present for the things that you know you have to do, what you end up doing is allowing it to pass you by. And I think every pastor needs to have a serious conversation. Have I checked out? Have I, even if it's for a moment, checked out. And I believe there are some seasonal checkouts. They say for most people, the most depressive time in the year is December, November to December. Why? Because it's a holiday season. People are going to see their family, their friends, and they are excited to see them. But then for those folk, when they're around all of these people, you're hearing about the good things going on. You're seeing all of the wonderful things going on. And the struggle is this. As you're seeing these things, you're checking your own life. Can I tell you something serious that I had to check myself on? Here it is. When I was a young preacher at my first church, I remember it as if it was yesterday. I was burnt out. I'd been pastoring. I was trying to do summer events. We already had a small church. Several families in the church decided they were going to take vacation. So we went from at the top, 15 to 20 people in there to that Sunday, 5 people. Me, my wife, and my little son made 3 of them. 5 people on that Sunday. Did you hear me? Me, my wife, and Stephen made 3 of the 5 people. Oh, I was done. I was tired. I was ready to I was through. And I did not want, I was even mad because I heard about how all these pastors were going to the National Congress. And I was like, man, I wish I could go. I remember my pastor stopped up at my barbershop. He handed me an envelope. He said, listen, go. It was one of the best times of my life, but here it is. It was also one of the hardest times of my life. Here's the reason why. I got there. I'm talking to all these pastors. I'm, hobnobbing, talking to them. I'm trying to, as a young preacher, get to know some of the preachers in the area. I see you. Yeah, Doc, all that wonderful stuff. And here it is. I started hearing one of the things that probably is the most depressing thing for a young pastor that has a I won't say a struggling, but a church that is in its infancy in their ministry. Here it is. Doc, what your church look like? What does it look like? Oh man, y'all can just imagine, after having a Sunday with 5 members at the church, 3 of them being me, my wife, and my oldest son now, I felt some type of way. I'm hearing these pastors, oh, Reverend, we got this going on. We just start building a new building. And I had this just syndrome that went on in my head that I felt as a young pastor. Everyone was looking at me a certain way, as if I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew, no one else knew, I knew it was my pastor that was the reason that I was funded to get there. I knew that my church could barely pay me. I knew that I was just making it there. And here it is. I came back mentally, educationally better, but mentally worse. Because when I came back, I felt like I had to do all of these things to catch up to what others were doing. I could not just preach the word of God. It had to be more than that. I started looking at how we could change the name of the church. I started looking at, we already had outreach things going, but I could not focus, here it is, on the things that I already had consistently going with my small membership. And what I want to tell you is, if you are going to not check out, if you're going to stay present in this current moment and reap the benefits, the first thing that I need you to do is not have comparison syndrome. Your job is not to compare yourself with another ministry in this moment. While your members are vacationing, while you are trying to put together programs, while you are trying to make sure that the kids are still attentive, as you're trying to make sure that the people are still in place, your job is not to compare, but here it is. Your job is to share. There are some qualities that other pastors have going on in their church that is not for you to compare, but it's for you to glean from and connect with. Many of us, because of pride, we have failed to connect when we should. And instead of connecting, we start comparing with what others are doing. And it ends up putting us in a more depressive state because you see what they're doing during their vacation Bible school. You see the numbers during their vacation Bible school, and you're saying to yourself, man, listen, our church is too small to even handle that type of number. Or here it is, we don't have enough kids to handle that type of number. Good friend of mine did something this year, him and several churches in the area, their association combined their vacation Bible school. So instead, here it is, instead of allowing one church to struggle on their own, here's what they did. They utilized one space, committed to mixing the spaces up, but here's the next thing, they also had access to enough teachers. They did not lack the people they needed because they were able to share. And a lot of times that we're checking out is because we're unwilling to share what we're going through. We're unwilling to share that we're in a season that we are dealing with slight depression. We're dealing with burnout from trying to preach consistently and make sure that sermon is still impactful. And listen, y'all can be honest with me. If you're in the pulpit view, page, whatever you share is only going to be between brothers. Here it is. If you are willing, you have to be able to tell somebody what you're going through. You cannot expect to be present in the moment, to not check out, and to bottle it all up. It's impossible. We end up becoming like I call it pop down here in the South. They call it soda. We'll just meet in the middle. Soda pop. If you've ever shaken up a soda pop, you've recognized that it builds up pressure, and eventually, when somebody clicks the cap, it explodes because so much pressure has built up and has never been released. And many of us as pastors, we're struggling. Can we be honest? As a pastor, and I talk about the pandemic so strongly because many of our pastors have not actually dealt with the fact that we are struggling and we're dealing with the depression of folk coming back into the church that were not present at all and wanting to have just as much say in your leadership as if they were there helping you through the process. They want to take the same amount of credit in the progress, even though they wasn't present. And that is the struggle that we have to endure. That even though you weren't present, you want to take credit for the progress. I got to tell you, one of the things that I had to realize, was that some people want to be a part of the credit because they don't want to be reminded they weren't a part of the progress. They weren't a part of the struggle. Had a talk with one of my mentors. He was telling me about when he put this when they built this church, how so many people did not want to be a part of it, did not believe it was going to happen, even though they were the minority. A lot of them were the majority in the financial supporting. And here it was early in their ministry. Here it was. What ended up happening as the building went up, some of the people stepped away. He said it was after the building was finished and they came back in that he saw them coming back in and supporting. Here it is. It was the reason they wanted to celebrate was because they wanted to take some credit, but they weren't present. And I need you to understand, many of us, if we're going to not check out, we have to be willing to share. Brother Lewis, I see you. Man, listen, that's my brother, beloved. That brother right there is one that I love with my whole heart. And I see Brother Sneed on here. He's preaching for me this Sunday. Y'all pray for the young preacher. Here it is. Our struggle is we're unwilling to share. So we're carrying a load because we are having either imposter syndrome or comparison syndrome. We either don't believe we should be here, or here it is, we don't believe that we are enough when we're here, and we're comparing ourselves with others. We have to stop checking out because of what others are doing and feeling like we can never do it. God did not call you to do the ministry down the street. God called you to do the ministry in your house. And your house may impact the ministry down the street, but it's not directly meant for the ministry down the street. You cannot compare with what someone else is doing. They may have a bomb choir, but you got some praying deacons. You're able to work with your deacons. I need you to focus on not comparing yourself. But here it is, sharing the ideas. If we share together what I have and what you have, we can put it together and make something beautiful. Here's the second thing. If you are going to be present in the moment, I need you to communicate. Your distance. Woo! That's good. I need you to develop a brotherhood and have an accountability partner that is going to hold you to the standard of recognizing when you're not present. Can I tell you how pastors check out? Pastors first check out by doing the work of someone else, doing the work that is not intended for them, becoming too busy. Here it is. There's a difference between being effective and busy. There's a difference between being effective and busy. There are many days that I'm busy but not effective. I'm doing a bunch of things, but here it is, I'm not getting anything done. Ooh, that's good. And so what we'll do is become busy, and as we become busy, no one notices our lack of effectiveness because we're doing a bunch of things. But when you have communicated your distance with someone, they start noticing the trend of your busyness versus your effectiveness. I'll say that again. You need somebody that can notice your busyness versus your effectiveness. They walk with you. You communicate with them. You're able to tell them and be transparent with them. But many of us, what we're struggling with is that because of what others are doing, we got to look busy. And then the pride of pastoring comes in. If I'm not busy, then I'm not effective. But I dare to challenge that and say, maybe the reason you're so effective is because you're not too busy. Maybe the reason you're so effective is because you're not too busy. And so what do I mean? What do I mean? There was a question asked to Martin Luther. You've heard me say it many times. Martin Luther, the theologian, they asked him because he prayed four hours before he started his day. Would wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, prayed before he started his day. And they said, how in the world, with all the things that you have to do in the day, do you have the time to pray for 4 hours a day? He said, to be honest with you, the only way I'm able to do all that I must accomplish is because I have those 4 hours. And to be honest with you, I'm looking for how I can add more. That was the way Garrett put it, not the way he put it. The reality is, if we are going to be effective, we got to know that what we're doing is what we're supposed to do. My brother, listen, my brother Joshua, he can sing. I cannot sing like Joshua. He can set the atmosphere. I love, listen, when he sings, draw me near, it just lays me out. I can't sing like Joshua. I can hold a tune. I do not set the atmosphere. And here it is. I'm not trying to. I just want to be able to be effective. I want to be effective in what I am able to do. And many of us, we're checking out because we don't feel we're effective, but we're not effective because we're too busy. Here's how you stop being too busy. You need to learn to delegate. And when you delegate, you have to place upon them the responsibility. And I mean the total responsibility. Here's what I mean when I say that. One of my beloved deacons always says that one of the problems in the church is volunteers aren't getting paid. So because volunteers aren't getting paid, they don't want to do it to the same status as if it was a check. And I agree to his reasoning behind it. Here's my problem. I'm not doing it for pastor. I'm not doing it for this church. I'm doing it for Christ. So there's a standard that we must set if I'm doing it for Christ. And if you want to hold this position, there's a standard that you need. And here it is. I'm at the place in my ministry. I prefer you to have the standard. Just got through talking to a brother the other day. I prefer you have the standard and I use you than you not have the standard. I use you for one thing and you not have the standard and I can't use you for anything. You'll sit in a bunch of areas, but the problem is I can't count on you. I can't count on you to show up on Sunday. I can't count on you to be at Bible study. I can't count on you to have spiritual growth. I can't count on you to give. And the church had gotten to the place where we accept people as if, here it is, as if we are in need of folk. And not as if God has granted it. In that, we as pastors become busy trying to handle everything. I don't play. I know how to read music, but I don't play. I just don't play the piano. So what does it look like me getting in my musician's position trying to teach people their notes? It doesn't. Now, Okay, we're back. We're back. We're back. Had a little bit of technical difficulty. We're back. Here it is. Can y'all hear me? If you can hear me, let me know. Listen, Josh, I'm growing in delegation. I'm growing in delegation. I'm not all the way there. But the reality is, if we're going to be effective, one of the greatest scriptures that we know of is when it comes to delegation. When it comes to delegation, is when we read when the disciples, when the apostles, see, there's a murmuring amongst the people, the Jewish widows, and you have this murmuring between two sects of widows. And they literally say, it is not wise for us to put our focus on this when we have an important task to do. That does not mean that their focus was not to be feeding the widows. If they didn't think the widows were important, they wouldn't have appointed people over that business. But here it is. They knew the widows were important, but they're saying, we're the only ones with direct contact with Jesus right now. So here it is. We need to be focused on spreading the gospel. Some of us, we are putting our focus on the murmurs. Ooh, this is good. We're putting our focus on the murmurs when our focus should be on the message. Listen, I wish I could drop the mic right there. We're putting our focus on the murmurs when we should be focused on the message. And so the first thing is we have to share. We got to stop having the imposter and the comparison syndrome and start sharing. We have to start connecting with those who have the resources we need so we can start building during that time. So we're not trying to put our hands everywhere. The second thing is delegating, putting the right people in place. And here it is. When we set a standard, we don't have to worry about if we have enough folk. We just need to have enough folk with standards. Because setting a standard means that you're going to have some folk fall away. But the new folk that come in with the standard. I tell anybody this, when you set a new price in your business as a barber, whenever I set a new price, I would always lose customer. But here's the amazing thing. Every new customer came under the new price. When you set a standard, you're going to lose some folk. But every new person is going to come in with that standard. Here's the last thing. So if we're going to be present in the moment, we're going to be present in the moment. Here it is. I want you to know the next thing. If you're going to be present in the moment, you got to make sure you're sharing. You got to make sure that you're delegating. Here's the last thing. You got to make sure you're resting. Can I tell you one of the things for me that I had to work on wasn't comparison syndrome at that time after that moment. It wasn't even some of my delegation issues. Here it is. It was jealousy. Can I be honest with you? One of the areas that I dealt with was jealousy because I saw everyone else taking a break and me feeling like I couldn't. And I want to help somebody tonight that you felt like you had to be there. You couldn't step away. And if you did step away, it had to be for a convention. I just got through talking to a preacher brother that was telling me, listen, I got to be there for Sunday because of this. I got to be there for this. I got to be there for this. And I said, listen, I said, is there no one else that can do this? He said, I'm sure it's someone else, but Stephen, I just don't know. I don't have the money to go out of the state. I said, just stay in your house. Go find you a fishing pool and go fish. His words to me was this. How did you know I like fishing? Told me how long it hadn't been since he fished. I told him, that's your job. He had a reel, he had a way. Just take some time to go fish. Because we can see others enjoying the privileges of the labor, but then we must still labor. And I want to say this because I don't want no preacher to come at me. Ministry is about sacrifice. It's about sacrifice. But you can only sacrifice in something you have. If you have nothing left, there's nothing left to sacrifice. You have to rest. You have to rest. Your preaching has not gotten bad. You're tired. I'm telling you. It's not that you didn't study long enough. You're tired. It's not that you were not equipped and you prayed long enough. You are tired. It's not that those members are just making you mad and pissing you off. You're tired. And you need to rest. And I want to help you tonight because many of us, our struggle is we're not resting. Everyone else is taking time off during the summer. And then what ends up happening, we consider these three things time off. I got to help you out. Preaching at another church is not time off. I don't care what your congregation says. The convention is not time off. I don't care what your congregation says. You having someone else preach while you are there is not time off. If they have full access to you while you are gone, it is not time off. Mm-hmm. If it does not take them work to get to you, it is not time off. If you have not set up strategies for them to connect with you, it is not time off. There is a phone I have that most of my members don't have, but every one of my deacons have. I know that if I get a call on this phone, because I'm not taking calls on my main phone, it's an emergency. They have to get to my deacons when I'm in that mode to get to me. Because I need to know that it's priority. Not that you just hurt yourself. Not that you're feeling lonely that day. Not even that you and your wife got into an argument that day. Because all of those things are real. But if the argument has been going on for a week and I didn't get brought in until the worst part of your argument, then maybe you're looking at me to validate your argument and not resolve the issue. Y'all need to sleep on it. Y'all need to sleep on it. And we can set up a meeting to have a conversation about it. But I'm on vacation. And I've left vacation because of my church. I had a member die, left vacation. Someone went to the hospital on the brink of death, left vacation. There are moments where you have to get back into the pastor mode. But you have to protect the gift that God has given you. And that is your mind. We will find ourselves in depression, withdrawal, burnout, because we have not taken the rightful steps not to check out. So, what are the benefits of not checking out? Here's the benefits of not checking out. When you are not checked out, when you have decided that you're going to be present in the moment, here it is, you're able to address what you can and not what others want you to. Woo! When you're present in the moment, I'm about to go there, you're able to address what you can address and not what others want you to. There are a lot of things that our members may want us to address that are beyond our power. But when you become present in the moment, You focus on what is within your power and you let God have everything else. Here's the second thing. You put the responsibility where it needs to be. There are some areas where there is someone responsible, and it's just not you. And how dare we not give our membership an opportunity to lead? And I'm not talking about lead the church, but lead in the position that they are. We're developing disciples. Jesus gave his disciples opportunities to lead. We're developing disciples for Jesus Christ. How dare we take away their opportunity to grow, their opportunity to be challenged, to be stretched, and to be equipped. Our goal is not to be Jesus in their life, but to point them to Jesus for all of their life. And so, how dare we not be a pastor that is willing to let them have some bumps and some bruises? Can I tell you something? One of the struggles as a parent that I think if you're a parent, you understand, is seeing your child about to make a mistake, even putting themselves in danger, and having to let them do it so they can grow. And every parent has. Every parent has watched their child take their first step and worry about them falling. If you had hardwood, you worried about how they would fall, if they would fall backwards and hit their head. If you ever taught them how to ride a bike, you were worried when you let go that they wouldn't have the steadiness. But at some point, you recognize the only way they were really going to learn is by letting them go and having trial and error. And then we encourage them to get back up and try it again. I want to encourage you as a pastor to encourage your members when they failed in that position, when they tried and did not succeed, rather, in the way they wanted to get up and try again. You stumbled, but get up and try again. You wobbled a little bit, but get up and try again. When they felt like there was some contradiction, and these are some of the things I learned in my failures, that you encourage them to get up and try again. Here's the next thing. Here's the last thing. Here's the next benefit. You get refreshed when you're present in the moment. You are refreshed when you're present in the moment because you're not burdening yourself with busyness versus effectiveness. You're able to take the rest and use it as a rest. Here's the problem with most pastors during the summer season. When we go away, we're still thinking about the church. And if you're a pastor that you're able to just disassociate yourself completely, to God be the glory. I don't get there. I haven't made it there yet. Many of us are dealing with the weight of the role, even while we're dealing with the resting of the soul. I'll say that again. We're dealing with the weight of the role while we're trying to experience the resting of the soul. And I want to encourage you to rest, to be present in that moment when God has given you the opportunity to take time away. And here's what I want you to do. This is your homework for the week. As you come back and listen to it, if you're on here tonight and you're listening to it, here's your homework for the week. Your homework for the week is to take 30 minutes a day. I'm going to tell you what I am doing as a coach. What I want to help my pastor brothers do, this is your first coaching session live. You might not even be a coach. You might not even be a pastor. You're a father, but you're in leadership. Here it is. Here it is. I want you to find 30 minutes out the day where you don't do anything for anybody else but yourself. Where you sit down and listen to music. I want you to take 30 minutes out of your day, and I want you to focus on restoring. I'm not talking about your devotional time. That is required time for the Lord. I am talking about 30 minutes out the day. It can be driving in your car. It can be sitting down at a restaurant, but you are not allowed to be checked in to anybody else unless it's your spouse or your family. And even then, it is to be resting. We have to make sure that we're present in the moment. Part of being present in the moment is being present in your rest. Present in the time that you get to recoup. It might be listening to your blues, 30 minutes, reading your book, 30 minutes. And as you do that, and here it is, if you're too busy for your 30 minutes, you might be busy, but not effective. If you can't take your 30 minutes, this is a hard truth I had to tell myself. The problem might be I'm too busy and I'm not too effective. Here's my heart as I leave you tonight. My heart is to help those who are leading while they're lost. My heart is to help those see that right now feel like they're in a place of not being able to understand where they're going. They're pastoring every day, they're leading every day, and they're wondering what the ultimate goal is. You know the vision, but the problem is you feel like you're on a cycle. And I want to encourage you, if you are in need of that person that's going to walk with you in that process, message me, hit the link in my bio. I want to let you know you are not alone. I've been there. I've been at the point where I started wondering, was it even worth it? I've been at Elijah's spot where God had to sit me down by the brook and he had to refresh my soul and feed me until I was restored. Lord, just let me go. I've been there at that dark place. And I want to tell you, there is light on the other side, but it starts with not giving up and not checking out. Listen, have a phenomenal night. I hope this live blessed you. It blessed me. Have a blessed night. And if you're at the National Congress, I want you to enjoy yourself. Bring some material back for Stephen Garrett. Be blessed.